What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for the Week 21 Premier League predictions. Just want to say a massive shout out to everyone that has been watching my Serie A, La Liga and Bundesliga predictions on the channel. It's been so much fun and we had a really good week on the channel last week. We had a correct score prediction in the Bundesliga and 2 correct score predictions in the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A, and there are still a couple of games to be played in Spain and Italy tonight. So a brilliant start with 7 perfect scores for the week. Make sure you subscribe down below to join the channel on our road to 40,000 subscribers so you don't miss any of the future videos. And here are the winning accumulators since the last episode. If you want to pause, you can check that out right there. Flashing up on the screen all of the people that have joined the Patreon who are supporting me on this channel and get exclusive members tips and accumulators. Now, full transparency, the amount of profit we've been making in the last couple of weeks is down, but that's after I made a change following what some people asked. They asked me to change the way I did the posts, and the profit has started to dry up a little bit, so I'm probably going to go back to the way I used to do it. That got us up to 200 units in profit. We're still way in profit this season for the Patreon, but I tried to appease you and change the way I did it, but it just meant we weren't getting as many winners. So I'm going to go back to the old way and just trying to find more winners and more winning odds for you guys. So if you want to get a shout out in every single video and get access to those exclusive members tips and accumulators that have seen us make a lot of profit this season, then click the first link in the description. And yes, of course, this is the Premier League, so we still stick with the same format. The other leagues I need to use Super Brew because I don't have the time. The football channel is not my full-time job, so unfortunately I don't have the hours to make this level of production for so many more leagues. But kicking off in the Premier League, we have Brentford up against Manchester City. Now, these two teams had contrasting fortunes in the FA Cup, about as different as it gets. Brentford losing 1-0 to Plymouth and Man City beating Salford City 8-0. I mean, Man City -3 handicap in that game, as you saw from the winning accumulator, was 2.1. They covered a -7 handicap, so I couldn't quite understand why the odds were so high for a Man City handicap when they always play fairly strong teams compared to the weak teams that they come up against in cup ties, etc. They want to get as many goals as possible, and I think Man City are starting to hit a little bit of a run of form. Do they have enough to win the league? I don't think so, but I do think they're going to start creeping their way up the table, and I think they're going to start this week with a win away against Brentford, and I'm going to go for Manchester City to win 2-1, and I thought the odds of Man City to win at 1.61 were good enough. Last week, we predicted Man City to beat West Ham by 3 goals. They ended up winning 4-1, and we actually, in fairness, I did predict Southampton to get something from Brentford, and Brentford blew them away and won 5-0, but I think I gave too much credit to Southampton rather than not enough credit to Brentford, to be honest. I think Man City win this one 2-1. The tip is going to be Man City to win at 1.61. After this, we travel to Stamford Bridge for Chelsea up against Bournemouth. I wanted to predict a Palace-Chelsea draw. I was even close to predicting a Palace win against Chelsea. You would have seen it in the video last week. But I bailed and went for a 2-1 Chelsea win, but I kept the tip as both teams to score, and that happened. It was 1-1, and I correctly predicted that Bournemouth would beat Everton 1-0 at home. So I think this game is one of the more predictable games as far as I'm concerned, based on my record, how I've done recently with these two teams. I think Chelsea win this one actually quite convincingly, but I do think Bournemouth can contribute. So I'm going to say that Chelsea win 3-1, and the tip is going to be Chelsea and both teams to score at 2.75. Now, speaking of both teams to score, we move on to West Ham up against Fulham. Julian Lopetegui has finally been sacked, which is great because now I don't have to watch every other tipster, every other prediction channel not know how to say his name. They've got they welcome Graham Potter to the helm, which is an interesting appointment. It's not particularly bad, I would say. It'll be interesting to see how it goes for sure. They come up against Fulham. I saw this game. My gut reaction was a 2-2 draw. And I know Fulham actually drew 2-2 to Ipswich last week. West Ham, the previous week, obviously, as I said, lost to Manchester City quite heavily. We tipped Man City -1 at 1.8 there. But I've decided to shade it to Fulham, just in the sense that Fulham are a better team, and I think maybe they can just shade it. I'll be kicking myself if it's a draw because that was my gut reaction, but I've just gone 2-1 to Fulham. Again, the tip stays the same. Both teams score 1.57. This could be identical to the Palace-Chelsea game last time, where I predicted a 2-1 to Chelsea after wanting to predict a draw, but keeping both teams to score as the tip. I think both teams to score is very, very likely. Now, after this, we have a massive game. Nottingham Forest up against Liverpool. Forest, the only team to beat Liverpool in the league this season. 1-0 away at Anfield. I really debated what to do here. I initially thought I wanted to be with Nottingham Forest in some way. I looked at the odds of a Nottingham Forest +2 handicap, like I did with the Fulham +2 handicap a couple of weeks ago, but Fulham +2 was 1.9. Nottingham Forest +2 is 1.44. I didn't think the odds were anywhere near good enough for that. So I've just shaded it. I initially, again, I thought 1-1 draw, but I'm just going to go. If we look past the 1-0 win that Forest got at Anfield, Liverpool have a good record against them. And, you know, Forest got slapped up by Man City 3-0. I know they're on a really good, winning run. And this is the perfect time for Forest to play Liverpool. So I'm just going to say 1-0 to Liverpool and hope I'm wrong. For Arsenal's sake, and hope I'm wrong. But the tip is going to be Liverpool double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.75. That's better odds than Liverpool to win at 1.65. And they don't even need to win. They just need to be less than 4 goals. And with Forest's defence, I don't think this will be a goal fest. So Liverpool double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.75. After this, it is Goodison Park for Everton up against Aston Villa. Everton now have David Moyes at the helm after sacking Sean Dyche. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Aston Villa, we tipped Aston Villa and both teams to score last week. That came in. And as I said, we predicted Everton would lose 1-0 to Bournemouth, and that came in. Everton games typically fairly low scoring. They have a decent defence. I'm going to go for another correct score prediction of 1-0, this time to Aston Villa away from home. And I tell you what, I quite like the odds. Aston Villa to win at 2.35. I don't think you need to do too much more. I think Aston Villa, they're way better than Everton. And whilst I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game, I think they should have enough to get the job done and get the 3 points 1-0. Coming up after this, it is Leicester up against Crystal Palace. We know what happened between Chelsea and Palace. We know what happened between Villa and Leicester. We have discussed it. I'm not going to stay on this one for too long. I do think Crystal Palace are going to be able to get the win here. Leicester just have not looked that good. Defensively, they've looked poor, and Palace have actually looked pretty damn decent. Even though they're fairly low in the table at this point, I think they've got what it takes to take a win here. I'm going to say 2-1 to Crystal Palace. The tip is going to be Crystal Palace to win at 1.95. You could look at Crystal Palace and both teams to score. If you think Leicester can get something, you could just look at both teams to score in general. I don't think Leicester win this to 0. So given that fact, try and stay with Palace and with goals in some way, and I think you'll have a good day out. After this, we travel to St. James's Park for Newcastle up against Wolves. Newcastle winning in the FA Cup, winning in the League Cup, and I think they're going to beat Wolves, who lost to Nottingham Forest 3-0 on Monday Night Football last time out. We tipped Nottingham Forest draw no bet at 1.66 against Wolves, and that came in handsomely. I think Newcastle win this one. I think Wolves are in for another 3-0 loss. The tip is going to be Newcastle -1 handicap at 1.9. I love the odds. It's better than Newcastle win to 0 in terms of likelihood, I think, because I could see this being 3-1, 4-2, 5-3. Wolves have had some high-scoring games in the past. That one with Brentford springs to mind. But I think Newcastle win absolutely, and I think it will be comfortable enough for them to cover the -1 handicap. Now, after we travel to the Emirates for the North London derby, it's Arsenal up against Tottenham. Tottenham all the way to extra time against Tamworth. Arsenal all the way to extra time against Manchester United. Kai Havertz, disaster class, by the way. Can't believe some of the chances that he missed. Obviously, the penalty, it's a good penalty save, but still disappointing as an Arsenal fan to see Arsenal exit the FA Cup in that fashion. We seem to either do really well in the FA Cup or just get knocked out in the third round. It seems to be that way. But either way, North London derby at the Emirates. Hopefully, Nottingham Forest by this point would have taken something from Liverpool, and we can use that to capitalise, because Arsenal could have beaten Brighton last time out and they drew 1-1, and Liverpool drew with Man United. So that was another opportunity for Arsenal to gain on Liverpool, and it's an opportunity that they didn't take. So I think Arsenal are going to have to bounce back here. Tottenham still have injuries to deal with. Arsenal are still a good team, whether they have Saka or not. So I'm going to say that Arsenal win 2-1. But I'm confident enough in Tottenham's scoring abilities and their haphazard defending to say that both teams will score. So my tip is going to be Arsenal and both teams to score at 2.6. After this, we travel to Ipswich for Ipswich up against Brighton. Now, Ipswich got a good point away against Fulham, and Brighton got a good point against Arsenal. So, both teams, like I said, good point just then. I think this is going to be actually quite a close game. I think at the Amex Stadium, I'd probably shade Brighton, but you know what? I'm going to go for Ipswich to get something here. I'm just going to go for a 1-1 draw, and the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61. Now, the final game, another one on Thursday night, Manchester United up against Southampton. Southampton currently at this stage of the season have the worst record in the Premier League ever. They have less points at the 20-week stage than Derby did in their record-breaking, infamous season where they finished on 11 points. I think Derby had 7 points at this stage, Southampton have 6. And to be honest, their 3 points against Everton was lucky, to say the least. So I don't expect Southampton to finish on less than 11 because there's so long left in the season and they literally just need 5 points. But still, I don't think they get it here. Man United, super happy for them. Like, their fans are super happy to get through the next round. I'm not happy for them. I mean, they knocked out Arsenal, but their fans are happy that they're into the next round in tricky circumstances, it has to be said. I think they're going to use that, get a win here, but nothing crazy, nothing mental. I don't think we're going to see another 9-0 or anything stupid like that. I'm going to say Manchester United to win 2-0. The tip is going to be Man United and under 4.5 goals at 1.66. I thought about Man United and under 3.5 goals at 2.25, but it keeps the 4-0 and the 3-1 on side. I think Man United win this one quite comfortably, but I wasn't brave enough to go Man United win to 0 or both teams to score. I couldn't quite figure out which one, so I've just gone Man United to win and there to not be 5 or more goals. Come on, Southampton. Don't let us down. Don't embarrass yourselves. But that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe, as I said, so you don't miss any future videos. We had Bundesliga on the channel yesterday. We've got more Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga coming up on the channel, and Champions League coming back soon next week as well. So don't miss it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.